What's up, duelists? Revisiting a deck that you built years ago is kind of like seeing an old friend. You get a look into your psyche from the past, a voice of your younger self, if you will. Deck building is a really creative part of the game. I think it's one of the most creative parts of the game. That and obviously coming up with like unique lines of play, unique combos, that kind of thing. But deck building is definitely the most creative, expressively thing, and it's kind of cool to see like that raw creative energy since before I was like trying to churn out a deck almost every single day, more or less. This is a deck that I worked on a really long time ago. The sideboard I just put together before this video, so the sideboard was not put together, and that's part of the reason I had put this deck on hiatus, is because I didn't know if what the metagame was like and how to side with a deck like this, and I just like tabled it for the time being. But it's a really sweet deck. It's got a lot of power in it. I think it's actually a really nice way to approach the Goblin Zombie type strategy, the Rescue Cat type strategy as well. This deck is cool because unlike your typical Diva Synchro Zombie deck, you can make a play with nothing, basically. You can make a play with no graveyard, you can make a play with no monster in play, and that's Summoner Monk and Rescue Cat, which is a decent play. At least it's getting you an Arcanite and an Airbellum hand rip, and a stacked graveyard, which you can maybe then utilize somehow. I'm not really sure if you can even utilize it somehow in this deck. Nah, you can't really, but hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good from nothing, basically. And then, of course, you can also Lone Fire into Titanial, which is also pretty good from nothing. This deck has a lot of different engines, but all of the engines have an inherent synergy in that Mystic Tomato gets you to most of everything you need. Basically, Mystic Tomato can get you to Sanguine, which can get you to Lone Fire, which can get you to Titanial. Or Tomato can get you to Monk, which can get you to Cat. Or Tomato can get you to Goblin Zombie, which can get you to just about everything else. The only thing Tomato can't really get you into is Kaya's Dad and Gores. But it can get you into just about everything else in this entire deck, which is really cool. I think that centering a deck around this card is definitely a strong place to be. Another cool thing about this list is we can actually take full advantage of Power Tool Dragon by maxing out DDR and Mark of the Rose. Well, we're not maxing out Mark of the Rose, but we are playing a couple copies. The only reason we're not playing the third copy of Mark of the Rose is space, and it kind of bricks. And then we got 2 Wind Blast, Royal Decree for interaction, Brain Control, Mind Control, etc. This is a Synchro deck. And then this small E-Telly engine, the reason we have E-Telly here is, again, so we can make it play with nothing in play. Normal Summon Goblin Zombie, E-Telly out Krebins, etc. Or we can also E-Telly out Mind Master. The reason I had Mind Master back then was so I could Synchro with Gores or Dark Armed or like Power Tool or Arcanite after it's popped cards, which is something that came up in my testing like forever ago. I'm not sure if that's correct in hindsight. I'm not sure if it just should just be another Krebins or a Psychic Commander. Psychic Commander wouldn't be too bad either because we could go directly into Power Tool Dragon, but this is just the list that I had put together back then. For the sideboarding, we have Spear Reaper, Triple DD Crow, 1 Thunder King, 1 Kaiku. You can search them off Monk, so you can tutor them. Double Cyber Dragon, of course. Triple Book for interaction, Nether Royal Decree, Trap Dust Shoot, and Pulling the Rug for frogs. Nothing crazy, just a pretty standard sideboard that I threw together for this video. Now, the first match is against GG Shifu. Now, against GG Shifu, I win the die roll, which is very lucky, and I get to go first. So, my opening hand looks pretty good. I have a play, basically. Next turn, if my Goblin Zombie dies, I can Phoenix Swing something, pitching Mizuki, bring back my Goblin Zombie, Rescue Cat, make Power Tool, search DDR the Mizuki, and actually, if this Brain Control pops off, potentially even OTK. So, set the Wind Blast, pass the turn, here comes Set Monster, pass. Now, we have a Typhoon as well, so if the opponent had set any back row here, we could like Typhoon it, we could Wind Blast it, whatever. Thankfully, they didn't. I'm just going to flip the Goblin Zombie, I'm going to summon Rescue Cat, I'm going to activate it, I'm going to go get double Airbellum. My opponent's going to reveal 2 back from their deck, and they're going to leave the duel, which is really annoying. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. Later, I messaged the opponent, and I called them some names because I was mad. And honestly, justly so. I'm hosting a match. It's really rude to join someone's match and then quit out and whine and complain when I had the outs to the back row anyway. I would have killed you this turn anyway. Just go to the next game. That's the reason we play a match. You actually have the advantage going into game 2 because I don't know what you're playing. This is really rude. It's really annoying. And it's just like, why join my match in the first place? I don't know. Had to make an example of this idiot. Next match. This is the real match. If you skip forward to this, here we are. This is a match against Kaiju Knot. Now, this is a really cool match because I'm playing this deck, which is sort of the, Rescue Cat zombie deck, basically. And my opponent's playing Diva Zombies, which is sort of what everyone considers to be the most popular deck, more or less. Anyway, opponent sets some back row, fixes a back row that they set. I don't know if that's the same back row or if they misclicked putting it back in their hand or whatever, but I'm not going to read too much into it. They do Dust Shoot me, and they make a pretty critical error here. Now, if we had gone first, we would have had Decree for this Dust Shoot, which would have been nice, but alas, we went second. It's going to happen some percentage of games. They make a critical error. If you take a moment to think about this hand, Plague Spreader, Mindmaster, maybe he was a little bit thrown off by the Mindmaster being here, but you just pretty much always take Goblin Zombie, because Goblin Zombie is the only way I'm going to be able to make any sort of play here. Taking Rescue Cat is okay. It's not bad, but I think I can't do anything with a Rescue Cat. I have 2 other tuners that don't stick into play. Rescue Cat just gets me more tuners that die in the end phase. So, yeah, opponent takes Rescue Cat. This is a pretty big error. I think you just always take Goblin Zombie here. It's the only access to my other engine, which is how I'm able to even stay in this game regardless. Now, thankfully, my opponent makes this misplay so that we're actually able to have a game. But if he didn't make this misplay, then I think this would have been a pretty rough game for us. We set the Royal Decree, we set the Goblin Zombie, and we pass. Next turn, I'm going to try to search for... I don't know. If we get Caiused, it sucked. It sucks. If we get Right Code, it sucks. Obviously, he knows about the Decree and the Heavy Storm, so I'm just going to set him. I'm just going to play my cards. There's no difference him knowing, him not knowing. I'm not going to try to bait him by setting a Mind Master. That's just silly. Because, you know, he could 5-head me and just attack it, which is what he ends up doing with his Pyramid Turtle. And now we know we're playing against Mirror Match. Most likely Diva Zombies, because that's the only variation of this deck that plays Pyramid Turtle, I think, that I know of. Anyway, we search Zombie Master, because next turn we can make a play where we make Revived King Hot Ace, and we're able to clear the Pyramid Turtle for free, basically. We pick up Gores, which is really awkward because we have Decree set, but that's fine. We can always convert dead monsters. Now, one thing I like about this deck is if you draw Titanial, you draw Gores, you have Wind Blasts, you have DDRs, so it's 5 conversions, you have Zombie Master, 6 conversions. If you search the Zombie Master off Goblin Zombie, 7, 8 conversions. You can search the Goblin Zombie off of Mystic Tomato, which is obviously 9 through 11, 9, 11, never forget, conversions. And then, of course, even your Synchros can convert it. Bryonic, for example, can pitch the dead cards. So drawing Titanial is just, it's a non-issue here. It's a non-issue. And also, drawing dead spell cards, like early game Book of Life, etc., non-issue. Just pitch it to Monk. Easy clap. So that's what I like about this deck, is like you have bricks, but those bricks can turn into real cards pretty easily. Whereas in decks like Quick Draw, you draw your bricks, and it's really hard to turn Titanial into an actual card advantage in Quick Draw, if you draw it, basically. All right, Pyramid Turtle attacks. Goblin Zombie searches Zombie Master. Here comes the big play. So we Zombie Master, pitch Plague. Now, this is a very important moment for us because we could Giga Choke this match by leaving Plague in our graveyard. We actually have to Zombie Master, pitch Plague, bring back Goblin Zombie, and then stack for Plague. Because if Plague is in our graveyard, our opponent can take advantage of it with their Zombie Master or their Doom Kaiser Dragon, which I don't think we are playing for space concerns. Yeah, so we don't have access to Doom Kaiser, but they do, so that's something to keep in mind. This is also good because it's going to allow us to shuffle away our Mind Master. It's possible I should have shuffled away the Gores, but I figured the only way I'm really losing this game is if they blow up my board, in which case Gores is going to be good and Mind Master is going to be whatever. So we stack for Plague, Synchro off into Revive King, go search our Mizuki, which can help us do some crazy stuff later on. Like, let's say we find DDR. We can DDR, pitch Mizuki, get back our Plague, Mizuki back Goblin Zombie, and have a huge turn that way. Revive King's going to run over the Pyramid Turtle. Now, I thought really hard here about it playing into Trag, because Revive King's text actually says monsters destroyed by zombie monsters you control. So if Zombie Master attacks Pyramid Turtle, then we play around Trag a little bit better. He can always just drop Trag on the Revive King attack directly. But then I was thinking, oh no, it's actually better to play around Gores, because if he has a trap card, he can play it and surprise us with Gores. So it's better to actually attack with Revive King, because Gores would own us, whereas Trag would just be like annoying, more or less. So we attack, there's the Mirror Force, there's a Royal Decree. This tips me off that he potentially has Gores in his hand. Whether or not he does, I don't know, but it just tells me that he could potentially have Gores in his hand. So Revive King Hot Ace attacks over the Pyramid Turtle, he takes the damage, Revive King negates the Pyramid Turtle, and then I just pass a turn because if he drops Gores here, it's pretty bad for us. So we're just not going to play into Gores. No reason to do it. We have big pushes for next turn. We can make stuff happen. All sorts of different things happen next turn where we're able to at least run over the Gores token or something like that. and then main phase 2, like Tribute Summon Gorge or something silly. Anyway, here comes Heavy Storm to clear our Royal Decree, and here comes Brain Control taking Revive King Hades, and that's going to run over our Zombie Master. Not letting us keep Zombie Master in play with Mizuki in hand. It's a sucky play to have to spend your Brain Control in this sort of mediocre fashion, but he ends up having to do it. Note his hand was pretty good. He had turn 1 Dust Shoot. He had a bunch of other limited cards, but we're seeming to manage our way through it without having to do too much heavy lifting. Anyway, he sets a back row and passes a turn. I think maybe it's a bait for my Heavy Storm, so I just attack with Revive King. Also, it could be a bait, but it's not Mirror Force, right? Because that's already been used. And nothing can really respond to Revive King that's already resolved. So I don't really need to play anything right now. I can just attack with Revive King. He's going to Phoenix Wing it, and now we're just crushing. We have Alive Gores, we have Mizuki, we have Lone Fire. Lone Fire can grab Titanial to stop whatever Bryonic shenanigans he wants to go for. Heavy Storm can clear any back row that we were faced with. And that's just going to be the game, more or less. We set Mizuki, pass the turn. He drew a pretty good hand. 5 limited cards. Pyramid Turtle to get access to his engine. It just didn't really pan out for him because Revive King is such a beating in this matchup. Anyway, passes the turn. We find Mystic Tomato. Again, we don't really need to play into anything. If we summon this Tomato and it's like Torrential, it's like, okay, they Torrential us. We can Mizuki something back if we want to. They lose their monster. We could also just not Mizuki something back yet if we don't want to. We could, though. We could go Mizuki, bring back Zombie Master, pitch, bring back Goblin Zombie, pitch Gores, obviously, and then attack for a bunch of damage. It's possible we could do that. We attack over the monster, it's Plague. And that's fine, because now Plague's in grave and they have 1 card in hand. They have to choose between summoning whatever's in their hand or stacking for Plague, because they didn't keep this back row in their hand. Again, if you have a Dust Tornado and I have no targets and I haven't set a target in a while, I would just keep the Dust Tornado in the hand to potentially stack for that Plague. Anyway, here comes another set monster. Now we pick up DDR and we can go absolutely crazy. We are just going to Heavy Storm, DDR, pitch Gores, bring back Plague Spreader, flip our Mizuki, make that Revive King yet again, and the opponent's going to concede. Revive King is really, really good against zombies. It's also really, really good against fairies. It's really, really good against any deck that's trying to get value out of their recruiters. Recruiters are very broken cards. I think people don't realize how powerful it is to tutor any card from your deck. Like I said, in our deck here, Mystic Tomato can tutor almost every single card in our entire deck, which is crazy. That's actually crazy. The only things it can't grab again are Gores, Dark Armed, and Kaias. But that's a really powerful effect on a monster. So being able to have a way to play through that with Revive King is really nice. Okay, game 2. The way I sided in this game, actually, I should tell you guys. I sided in 1 Kaiku, 1 Thunder King. Both these cards are good against Diva Zombies. I sided in triple DD Crow, and I sided in 1 Book of Moon, I believe. And the way I sided out was I sided out 2 Wind Blast. I sided out... I think I sided out Mind Master, Itelli, Raikou. And 1 other card. What was it? I can't even remember. It was Mind Master, Itelli, Raikou, 2 Wind Blast, and... question mark? Oh, I sided out Gores, I think. Yeah, I sided out Gores. My rationale was like, DD Crow's going to be better than Gores. Like, all the instances in which I'm going to be able to summon Gores, DD Crow's going to be more proactive hand trap for that kind of interaction. Zombies is not going to be attacking me directly outside of their big OTK turn, which gets interrupted by DD Crow. So that was my logic there. This hand's a little bit more unfortunate. We still have the Heavy Storm Decree, which is really nice, but we don't have a Dark for our lure, which is awkward. That's pretty much it, though. Airbellum, not bad. Lone Fire, Mark of the Rose, pretty fucking good. Honestly, build your own Snatch Steal. Find Mystic Tomato. Do whatever we need to do. Here I just set Decree and pass, I believe. Yeah. End phase are going to dust me, but that's okay. I'm kind of okay with this. I want them to get a monster face up so I can make a play, basically. Anyway, this turn they summon Goblin Zombie. They summon Gale. They attack me directly for 1100. They attack me for 1300. Unlucky for them, they mill Goblin Zombie. We draw a second Airbellum, which sucks, but in this matchup, it's not too bad. Here, we can go Lone Fire into Tomato, steal the Gale because they left a tuner in play off Mark of the Rose, and then make Power Tool Dragon, which is actually going to be really good because we're going to mark away our Lone Fire Blossom, then we're going to be able to grab DDR and DDR it back. So, pretty good stuff. Lone Fire grab Mystic Tomato, Mark of the Rose the Gale. Gale halves the Goblin Zombie, Synchro into power tool, go grab DDR or Mark the Rose. We end up grabbing the DDR. We DDR pitch Airbellum because it's going to be hard for us to summon both of those guys. Grab back Lone Fire Blossom. Lone Fire, go get Titanial. This is to make sure they can't like Bionic, go TKS. And also this plays around Gores because if we have Titanial in play, they can't like Gores run over our whole board and reversal us. So we Titanial, attack over the Goblin Zombie. This also plays around Caius by putting Titanial in play, which is nice. We attack over the Goblin Zombie, deal the most damage. They go ahead and search. They drop Trag to protect their life total. Power Tool runs over the Trag, which is nice. I let him know that you do have to use the Trag before you use the Goblin Zombie. And that will come up in tournament. If you activate Goblin Zombie, then you've passed the window to activate Trag. Anyway, pass the turn. Opponent sets monster, passes the turn. We have X-Saber Airbellum here. They didn't really have enough to make a big play last turn because, again, they have to normal summon twice in order to play this game. And you can't do that when you have, just like 3 normal summons in your hand. And I think this is the biggest weakness of Diva Zombies. If you can just keep their monsters, like, stuttered and, like, keep them off of their normal summon, they just lose. They can't make plays. Yeah, Book of Life works, right? But they have to draw Book of Life, and they only play, like, 1 or 2. And that's it. So it's just, like, it's a very normal summon reliant deck, which I don't love, personally. In any case, we get a Resolve Power Tool again. This time, it's also going to grab us... No, it grabs us Mark of the Rose this time. So now, I'm just going for damage. I'm like, whatever it is, if I get in damage, that's good for us. If it's Mizuki, okay, that's good for us. We'll swing with the Airbellum. Airbellum's going to hit Zombie Master, I believe. We hit the Zombie Master. Titanial's going to attack directly. And now it's like, okay, what do you do? Dark Arm doesn't do anything because you're not only are you at 5 darks, but even if you could get to 3 darks, let's say Book of Life and then Zombie Master pitch a non-dark to bring back Goblin Zombie. Okay, even then, Dark Arm can't play through Titanial. What are you going to do? Bionic? Bionic can't play through Titanial. So you have to waste your hand to break my board. And if you have anything left over at all, you're at 1350, and I have 2 Snatch Steals. So what are you going to do? The game's just over. This is such a good position for us. It's really, really crushing. Anyway, he reveals his hand here at the end, drawing double Malicious. And that's another thing that, obviously, it can happen in every version of Zombies, but it's tough. It's tough when that does happen. It is unlucky. A bit unlucky for sure. Now, our opponent did have Dust Tornado and Heavy Storm. I wonder if this was just because they were so scared of Royal Decree that they felt they needed to leave these in post-board games, which makes sense. If they're on like a heavy trap build, then that makes sense. But this game shows off some of the weaknesses, I think, of the Diva Zombie strategy. And it's good to know about those because this deck is the most popular deck right now. It was the most popular deck in the last RBET. It was the most played, even more than Blackwings. And it's also a deck that's like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of like newer players gravitate towards this deck. So just knowing how to deal with it, knowing how to play through the set monsters, knowing how to establish a position like this where you're like, okay, I've got big monster that can negate your big monster. And then if you manage to break through that, I'm going to win. Like knowing how to establish these positions, knowing how to summon Revive King. I mean, that's pretty much, it can help you. In any case, I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys like this deck. It's a bit of a quicker video today. I've got a very busy weekend ahead of me, but I'll get some longer videos out next week. Definitely smash like, subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Peace.